Hello, and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in Rocket Pool and Ethereum ecosystems. My name is Wack. Today is August 6th, and today's episode is actually going to cover a whole lot of really exciting things. On the Rocket Pool side, we're going to be talking about the SEC, talking about LSTs, and whether or not the securities. We're going to talk about the call that BTCS had with the Rocket Pool community. We are also going to be talking about the bootstrap mode. That's a really exciting update. On the Ethereum side, we're going to be talking about a Roman Storm verdict, and a whole bunch of other things, such as an update on the North Star. We're going to be talking about Base having performance issues, and a whole bunch of stuff about the treasury companies and a lot more. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so let's start with Rocket Pool news. And in the previous episode, we were talking about how Rebecca from Jito was trying to talk to the SEC about including LSTs in ETFs and talking about how they're not securities and how they basically are really valuable, and the SEC should embrace them. And Langer's actually gave an update here a couple of days ago saying that he had a call with Rebecca, and that she's a fantastic champion for liquid staking and decentralized protocols generally. So it was really great stuff. So it was really good to get some positive news about Rebecca and about the LST stuff. And then we actually got a huge update straight from the SEC. So here, this Twitter account that releases news says the SEC released a statement on liquid staking activities not considered securities. So then we actually had an SEC statement as well, saying statement on certain liquid staking activities. And they said that basically that liquid staking, some of these activities are not securities and they are commodities, and this is actually really, really great to see. And they talk a little bit about what kind of liquid staking activities are covered, and what their views are, and why they think that they are not securities, and how they are receipt tokens, etc. And there's a whole bunch of information here, so you can go and read that. But this is actually a really, really big update because it clears the road for Rocket Pool, and that of course is really awesome. So rETH is the most decentralized LST in pretty much all of crypto, and I think it's the most EV positive EV for crypto. Rocket Pool really maxes on all those really good qualities that you want. So now the SEC is saying that the LSTs are not securities. It means they're commodities, which means that they can go into ETF wrappers without all the securities disclosures and stuff that comes with that. So the thing now is there are a couple of things that you'll start seeing. One is that you'll start seeing potentially more of the treasury companies holding LSTs, which, as far as I know, none of them have been doing so thus far. And the second thing is that you might even see ETFs that have LSTs in them. That might be some ways away, but that's a really exciting update. I imagine seeing it though this actually makes a path to having an rETH ETF that much more possible, and that is incredibly exciting. So yeah, this is really, really good stuff. There was some misunderstanding about what actually happened here. This person, Amanda Fisher, saying that this is basically another criminal giveaway from the SEC, this Trump era SEC, and that there's something dodgy going on over here. And then Austin Campbell actually did a really good job of clarifying where the mistakes are and where the mistakes in her understanding are. So this was a nice little breakdown of this perspective of LSTs and how they actually work really well within a commodities framework as if they're not securities. But Austin here does say as well that just because the SEC is saying that they're not going to legislate or work with the LSTs as securities, it doesn't mean that another branch of the government won't claim jurisdiction over them, probably the CTFC. But this was a nice little post that you can go and check out in regards to that. Okay, on Monday we had a community call with BTCS and Rocket Pool community. So this was a really nice call. It took place like a whole bunch of people tuned in, like 530 people. This is one of the biggest community calls that we've had in quite a while. It was really exciting that so many people tuned in. And we've got an update from the community who were kind of like live talking about it at the time, kind of like live talking. So Jasper says it's live now. And then people basically were asking questions about how BTCS works and what their intentions are. And one of the key things that came up was with that their own RPL, which was really cool. They're really supportive of Rocket Pool, which of course is really cool as well. And there were some discussions going on about them using rETH. So here, Jasper, one of the things Jasper wanted to ask was like, can you ask about how like the different tokens can be deposited into Aave, and rETH should be okay for them because of the way that it's non-rebasing, and the profile should be identical to ETH. So Benjamin here, who works with BTCS and is quite active in the Rocket Pool community, says we've had a lot of discussions about rETH lately, along with some additional strategies we're trying to plan out. So that when the ETH comes in, we're diversified and earning. So this is actually really interesting little tidbit of information there, that there are a couple of pieces of information. That one, they own some RPL, which is nice, but the key piece of information here is that they are looking into acquiring rETH, which of course is what we desperately need going into Saturn 1, because the node operator supply is going to be grow so much, and we need our ETH supply to kind of match that, and that's what we're going to need. So if we can get BTCS buying our ETH, that would be absolutely fantastic. It would really help Rocket Pool grow. But I think what might end up happening is that some of the treasury companies, and I'm looking at Bitmine because they haven't even started staking their ETH yet. Benjamin actually put a tweet out saying that it might be that for some of these some of these treasury companies, the path of least resistance might just be to purchase LSTs and just hold those and think of those as staking rewards. Now that is actually a really, really interesting way to look at it, because if you look at baskets of LSTs like DSETH and a bunch of, I think, ETH Plus or Plus ETH, one of those actually overrepresent our ETH quite a lot by weight compared to market share of our from Rocket Pool. So if that kind of strategy takes off, the community and will be our job to educate the treasury companies on why they should be holding our ETH as an overweight part of their treasury compared to other LSTs. And of course, the reasons for that is because Rocket Pool is the most Ethereum aligned. We have the most decentralized, the best client diversity, and like all those really, really good things. The code, of course, is all open source, and they can do whatever audits they want of our ETH. It's an immutable contract. There's a lot of really positive things that come with our ETH that hopefully we can educate them on. So there were some really exciting things in there. Go and listen to it. It's a good listen. Okay, another day, this news would have been the number one news on the episode, but today it's gone down to the third story, and that's Langas here talking about the pDAO Guardian wallet being disabled. And this, he says, the time has come. As part of the disabling protocol DAO Guardian plan, we'll be disabling the protocol DAO bootstrap mode. So he says we intend to disable this on Monday the 5th. So that was 18 hours ago from when I'm recording now. And then here Langas gave an update saying the Guardian has been disabled. The disabling of the Guardian continues our commitment to decentralized governance. Since launch, we worked tirelessly to evolve how we operate as a DAO. And from today, the training wheels are completely off. I'm continually inspired by what we built together, a truly novel and innovative protocol, guided and governed by the very community that use it. It's a testament to the passion and the vision of everyone involved. Here's to the future, and to all of those who made this possible, many thanks. So this is one of those things that like no other protocol in crypto has. Like very few protocols in crypto have, I should say. We're working towards something really, really great here in terms of community run protocols, and the team have done such a great job over the years of relinquishing control. Like more and more control. And this was by design, right? Like they said from the beginning that, we will take a more and more hands-off approach on the actual management of the protocol, and the community will be taking on more and more of those duties. And thankfully, the community has done a really good job so far. And the next step now is to set up the security council. And once that's set up, I think then we're going to be in a really excellent position to show that we're taking huge steps towards this decentralization. So congrats on the team for living up to their promise all that time ago. And this was a big piece of FUD that we had with Rocket Pool, and that has now gone away. So this is excellent stuff. Okay, and then here you can see the events DAO page showing that the bootstrap mode is disabled. The Guardian has handed off full control over to the protocol DAO to on-chain governance. So this is really, really, really cool stuff. So yeah, that's awesome. Okay, we have the bi-weekly DeFi update here. And this is from stakerocketpool.eth, and it's run by Regex Buster, and says that stay focused on the path, and rETH is moon. And there's like a little meme here of a person looking at rETH instead of Rocket Pool instead of National Girlfriend Day. But here we've got some yields you can have a look at, and the best one is the rETH ETH pool on Optimism for Uniswap. That is earning 11.6% right now, which is really, really good to see. It's a boost from the last couple of weeks where we had low single digit percentages. And then if you're looking on mainnet, you can get up to 15%. And this is a tri pool with rETH, Wrapped ST-ETH, and Frax's FRX ETH, and that's giving you 15.75% yield right now if you want to go into that basket of tokens. And then if you want to go to Gamma, you can get 12.71% with just rETH and Wrapped ETH. So there's some really nice yield opportunities available now. If you want to start farming, you can definitely do that. And then Stake Rocket Pool is asking like if they're missing anything, but no, this is really cool. Like yeah, go use your rETH. And I guess if Charles or Benjamin are watching, then you can use your ETH and rETH to get some of these yields. Of course, their size means that these incentives would go down really quickly. But hey, like they can try some strategies and see what works for them. Okay, we've mentioned this on Rocket Fuel before, but the Rocket Pool Twitter account put out a kind of an official announcement of the GMC and their decision to swap some of their RPL into Bold every month. So the way that it will work is at the time of a grant being approved and accepted, the GMC will swap that amount of RPL into rETH. So for example, if Bob gets $10,000 upon approval of Bob's grant, the next activity window, the GMC has around the 13th of every month. There will be a transaction set up to swap $10,000 of RPL into $10,000 of Bold, and then Bob would get monies from that released to him every milestone he hits or whatever. So for example, say it's for 5 months worth of work, Bob would get $2,000 every month, and that money would then be set aside for Bob and earmarked for Bob, which is actually a really nice way of, I think, planning this, because it means if the RPL price goes down, God forbid, like it did, a few months ago, it was really low. The GMC was worried about how we were going to, pay our outstanding grants that we had approved, and money was going to get really tight. But yeah, this is actually a really good. This is a really good system, I think, and it means that if we don't have the money available at the time, we could tell the awardee that, hey, we want to pay you, but we want to approve your grant, but right now we're not in a position where we can afford it. So maybe come back next month or another time, resubmit it, and then hopefully if our treasury is doing better, then we can approve your grant. But RPL price is up. We're nearly at $8. That of course puts all the treasuries at a much better position, and hopefully we'll be able to have that runway for grants going forwards. So speaking about the GMC here, Schifrin put out the GMC's treasury report, and it says that at the start of the month, the GMC had 32,600 RPL. The GMC received 5,500 RPL, and it gave out 5,300 RPL. So the funds at the end of the month are 33,000 RPL basically. So that was paid out at $5.75. And it says the value of the treasury at that price is about $236,000. Of course, now that the price is closer to $8, that has gone up nicely. And then here's the information from the GMC about Bold as well, talking about how Bold will be used and how it's all going to look. So that was a really nice update from the GMC there. We also have an update from the IMC's report here. So this is report 38, and it tells you that the outflows are actually less than inflows. So the IMC will be managing some of its money. So it says the RPL balance change saw a 25% higher change from 9,000 RPL to around 11,500 RPL. The IMC has decided to continue saving the allocation previously budgeted for Cake Pie, which was around 2,200 RPL per month, and Hop, which is 100 RPL per month, which contributed to additional 2,300 per period not being spent. And the IMC is still deliberating on how this will be spent moving forwards. And the IMC recently completed elections with some members rotating off and some new folks joining. The size was lowered to 7 instead of 9, and the new IMC should evaluate the budget and decide on changes to regular transactions and how to spend and or save reserves. And then it says Balancer continues to send USDC as part of the Balancer Alliance fee share. So that's nice. And then looking forwards, they're going to keep the same plan going forward, expecting another 20% surplus as we deliberate the best plan for the extra funds. So there's some information here about the rETH discount as well, and seeing in other LSTs as well because of Aave borrow rates, and that's just what that's looking like. So that's a nice update from Samus here as well. So thank you, Samus, for that information from the IMC, of which I am no longer a member. So yeah. Okay, we've got some staking news here, and this is an update of gETH, and this is gETH 1.16.2. This is a maintenance release, so if you are using gETH, you can update to this or not update to this, but I wanted you to know that it was available for you to do so. Okay, let's move on to some Ethereum news now, and we are going to start the Ethereum news here with an update about the Roman Storm trial that was ongoing. On Monday's episode, I talked to you about how the jury was still deliberating and how there was going to be some blockages to the jury's deliberations, but that has now concluded, and the jury came out, and Roman was on trial for 3 different charges. There was a charge for there were 3 different charges, and Roman was found guilty on one of those charges. If we actually have a look at the court proceedings, Inner City Press did a really great job of getting all the information out, and then the jury here came out, and it says the verdicts here was on count 1. They were not unanimous. So because they were not unanimous, that means it was a hung jury. That means that the Department of Justice can, do another trial, or they can just let go. So that was on charge 1. On charge 2, they found Roman guilty, and then on charge 3, they found Roman not guilty. Not guilty on that. So that was really interesting. One of those was hung, and then 2 of them, one was guilty and one was not guilty. So let's have a look here. Eleanor Terrett has some information as well. So she says, just caught Roman Storm outside of the courtroom. Oh yeah, actually then they had a little bit of a discussion about whether or not he should be allowed to remain out until his sentencing, and he's given a punishment basically, and eventually the judge decided that he should be able to stay out, and his bond that he's given and his daughter should be enough reason for him to not run away. Then the judge asked, what will you be doing on counts 1 and 3? And this says we'll get back to the jury on that. So as far as maybe. Yeah, but that's where we stand. That's where we stand right now. So Eleanor Terrett here, yes. So she talked to Roman, and he says it's a big win. So the one here actually, So there was some initial confusion over the status of the 3rd count, which the jury could not unanimously decide. So what happened is, at the time they said not guilty, but I think what they meant was that there was no unanimity. So technically what's happened is Roman is guilty of one charge, and on two of the charges the jury couldn't decide whether Roman was guilty or not. So those are the ones that the Department of Justice can then retry. So the charge that Roman was guilty of was actually the conspiracy to operate an unlicensed money transmitting business, and saying that that's what Tornado Cash is. And what's really funny is FinCEN has actually said that that is not a money transmitting business anymore. So the whole foundation of this ruling, of this guilty charge, was was not something that the financial the FinCEN is actually like looking at anymore. So Roman's lawyer says it carries a maximum sentence of 5 years. The jury was hung on the other two counts, money laundering and sanctions violations, and those were the more serious charges. So Roman is actually going to fight. He says that it's a big win. The 1960, that's the charge that he was guilty of. He says this bullshit, and we're going to fight all the way. And like President Trump said, we fight. We're going to do that too. And he says he's happy that he's not in jail. And he mentioned his 5-year-old daughter as one of the reasons he plans to keep fighting the one charge that he was convicted on. And then we'll find out if the Department of Justice wants to, retry charges 1 and 3, or whether they'll just like leave it the way it is. And then that's kind of where we stand right now. That Roman is out at the moment until his sentencing hearing. I don't know what the judge is going to decide. It looks like there'll be grounds for appeal on this charge that Roman's guilty of, and we'll find out if the Department of Justice wants to retry charges 1 and 3. As of course, I will share that information with you as it comes. Okay, on to some pure Ethereum news now, and we have an update on the North Star of Ethereum. So the tri-pronged North Star, I guess it's like a tri-star system here, as the 3 stars are scale the L1, scale blobs, and improve the user experience, the UX, without compromising on hardness or security. So here we have an update on the first track, scale the L1. So the team that will be running the scale the L1 is actually going to be changing a little bit with this new co-lead, who is Marius, who used to work with Geth, or still does work with Geth, and then there's Ansgar will still be working on that with Tim Baiko as well. And then their main goal in the short term is scaling the L1 gas to 100 million. We are, of course, right now at 45 million gas. And it looks like after Fosaka, it might be that we can go to 100 million gas. So that's really cool. And then it says another key milestone is history expiry. So that will allow people to save between 300 and 500 gigabytes of disk space, which is helping a lot. It's helping me a lot because I was coming up to my 2 terabyte limit, and now I've got a lot of breathing room, which is of course really great. And then there's some information here about block access lists and how that's being championed as the Glamsterdam headliner. And then there's scaled L1 significantly. This is moving with ZK, and there's some information on that as well. So there's they're hiring a performance engineer handling RPCs at scale. If they want to join the team, then there's a job available at the Ethereum Foundation, and you can go check it out. So yeah, this is really, really awesome stuff. Thanks for that update, Tim. Okay, Benji here as well, who works with the Ethereum Foundation part of the time, says, did you know that the enterprise team, which is a different team at Ethereum Foundation, has done 120 calls this month alone with banks, Fortune 500 companies, and even governments? It says that we lead in the charge. So this was really, really cool. And then Benji had a little bit of an update saying that it's kind of like this mock conversation saying, okay, who did you talk to last month? And then the reply is coming from David Walsh, who is the lead of the Ethereum Foundation. So he says, David says, some of the biggest banks, tech firms, and governments in the world. And then Benji says, all casual, and they actually want to listen to talk about Ethereum. And David says, they're not just asking us what Ethereum is anymore, they're asking how to integrate it, how to ship, how to not get left behind. And we're here to help every step of the way. And then Benji says, okay, so the community definitely wants to learn more about it. So should we do a Twitter space? And David said, let's do it on Friday. So it looks like there's a Twitter space that is coming up very soon with the Ethereum enterprise team, who I think will be giving some really nice updates about who they've been talking to, what they've been talking about, and how bullish this is. And I'm actually really excited about this because the Ethereum enterprise team was just announced, I think, last month, and it looks like they've already hit the ground running. And this is like, the official BD arm now of the Ethereum Foundation, which is absolutely awesome to see. So I'm very, very excited to see what comes of this. Okay, Base dropped off for about half an hour. It stopped producing blocks, and this was yesterday. And here, DGen News caught the news saying that they've stopped producing blocks. And Jesse then later yesterday then says Base chain is rapidly scaling, and last night we had a 33-minute halt in block production. The core team immediately jumped on it and resolved it, and then followed up with a full post-mortem below. I appreciate everyone's attention. So if you actually have a look at the post-mortem, they say that it's due to an automatic handoff to an unhealthy mainnet sequencer in the high availability cluster. This is we quickly switch to a healthy mainnet sequencer and Base chain resume normal operation. It says we have full postpartum available, and there's a link that you can follow in the reply tweet. But yeah, Base went down for 33 minutes. One of the funniest things I saw about this was Mert of the Solana ecosystem saying, Base can't, something about Base still like copying everything that Solana does and joking about Solana going down as well. So I actually thought that was a really nice little joke there. So yeah, Base was down. It looks like it's up and everything's good again. Okay, speaking about L2s, we actually have an update from Gemini, well, a tease from Gemini here, which is kind of exciting. And they're teasing that on August 14th, they're saying something with, something with the ETH in the middle is launching, and it's called horizon.gemini.com. People have been talking about whether this is a DeFi protocol or whether it's an L2. And we're still not sure yet what it's going to be, but I think my guess is that it's going to be a new L2, and it should be launching next week. So, yeah, that's nice. Hopefully they're using blobs as data availability. That will be good for everyone involved. Okay, next we have news of another treasury company, and this is announced here by Fabrice saying that Cosmos Health, Nasdaq COSM, has secured up to $300 million to launch a new Ethereum treasury strategy. ETH will be staked by BitGo with plans to explore additional yield staking generating strategies to optimize cash flow and utility from ETH holdings. So yeah, there's just so many now. Like I think I've lost count. Let me see. Actually, let's have a look at the strategic ETH reserve. Just to tell you as well, SBET actually, Sharplink Gaming added a whole lot of ETH to their bag. They are now at 520,000 ETH. That's still, a chunk away from Bitmine, who are at 833,000. We're going to be talking about them next. It's just a truly astronomical amount of ETH that they've gathered there. But if we have a look at treasury companies, there are now 13 treasury companies listed on strategic ETH reserve. And the biggest, of course, of these are, Bitmine, and then Sharplink Gaming and Ether Machine, Bit Digital, and BTCS. They're bringing up the top 5, but those top 3 are, a big chunk ahead of everyone else. It's just amazing. Yeah. So it's going to be good to see these guys catching up, and I'm really curious to see how all that's going to go. Okay, speaking of Bitmine, here there was a new Bankless episode, and they had Tom Lee on there, and says the world's biggest ETH holder. I think Joe Lubin's actually the world's biggest ETH holder, but that's a different discussion. From what I've heard, he has millions of ETH apparently. So yeah, that's just a huge amount of ETH. But this episode was actually really, really great. So they talk about the rise of the ETH strategies, Tom Lee trying to accumulate 5%, the role of Ethereum in Wall Street, accumulating more ETH, Wall Street's misunderstanding of crypto. This is being Ethereum's 2017 moment. That's when, Bitcoin really launched big onto the wider public scene. And then the potential for ETH to have a 100x from here, up to $380,000 from here. That would be really nice. So $370,000 looking at price right now. Estimating ETH's value, navigating market risks, and closing thoughts on Ethereum. So like I said, this was a really, really cool episode. Tom Lee is so good at being a hype man. It's just fantastic. He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna hype the shit out of this, and there's no one who can stop me, because ETH is a commodity, and staking ETH is commodities, and you can all shut the up. So yeah, very, very cool stuff here from Tom Lee. Crypto Gucci here had a summary of the call. He says that Tom Lee says that ETH can reach $330,000. Significant probability that ETH will flip Bitcoin at some point in the future, which is absolutely amazing. He gives a timeline over the next 10 years. I think it could be sooner. Yeah, he says Wall Street has decided Ethereum is the chain that they're going to build on. So it looks like everyone, like the ones who've already started, they are basically acting as the Lindy effect for all the others, and Metcalfe's law basically. So as these networks grow, and as they become more battle tested, it's going to be really difficult for others to come online. And you have to just think, right, like the current financial system really got established in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and it kind of built up over that time, and then with the internet coming online, it kind of integrated those. But this system that's in place right now has been there for pretty much half a century, and it's really, really difficult to budge that. So if Ethereum can basically get a meaningful share of that, or all of that, hopefully in the next 10 years, then going down next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it's going to be really difficult to get ahead of that, just the way it has been for crypto to get ahead of the existing financial system. So the more that can be built there by Ethereum, I think it's really ours to lose right now. It's just amazing to see. And then we have they're still committed to that buying 5% of all ETH, which is about 6 million ETH. And what's really interesting here is that Tom talked about how they are accumulating ETH 12 times faster than Michael Saylor did with MicroStrategy. Because they bought, the percentages that they bought over the first year, and that's what Bitmain have done in the first month. So it's just truly astonishing just how fast they're accumulating their ETH. And he says, this ETH is amazing, zero downtime, treasury play due to yield. It just makes more sense than Bitcoin. ETH has 100 times upside and provides real income as a native yield bearing asset. So this must watch episode. Go and check it out. It's a really good one. So yeah. And finally, today's episode, we're going to finish with an update from the SEC again. And I have to admit, the SEC for crypto right now is putting out absolutely amazing content, and it's just really, really great. From a crypto perspective, it's everything has been spectacular. This is a speech by Hester Peirce, and she gave remarks to the Science of Blockchain conference that happened at UC Berkeley in California. And she here talked about privacy in the digital age, and talking about how we should have privacy basically. And this is just really, really awesome to see that, she kind of gets it, that you need privacy. Otherwise, you just can't grow the systems the way that you want. Now, you might have Bank of America, for example, who has on a crypto footprint. They're not going to want to know, they're not going to want everyone in the world to know exactly what assets they're holding, or what they're trading, or what they're moving around. Just like, John on the street doesn't want, Bob again, Bob to know, how much money he has in his wallet when he pays over, $3 for a coffee or whatever. These kind of things are really, really important for crypto to go forward. And it's something that Paul Brody of Ernst Young has been championing for many years now, so much so that Ernst Young are actually making their own Ethereum L2s that have privacy baked in, that they really want to be enterprise grade for that kind of work. So yeah, there's incredibly exciting things happening in crypto. In Rocket Pool, there's really exciting things happening with these treasuries, and hopefully ETFs as well, staking buying our ETH. That would be absolutely fantastic. And then just all this stuff that's happening with Ethereum is just amazing. So I'm going to end today's episode on that note. Thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.